Hello, and welcome to Comic Island. My name is Arden, and this is my live reaction to Dark Knight's Death Metal #1. This is going to be a different kind of video. It's one I literally came up with like a couple of hours ago. It's just a fun idea because of what I picked up today. Today's New Comic Book Day, and we've never really done a video celebrating it before, but I thought it might be fun to do it, especially, given death metal. And, well, hopefully you guys can hear me. YouTube's giving me a weird message, but I'm thinking it's okay. Anyways, if you can't hear me, now would be a great time to sound off in chat, which I guess is counterintuitive. So I'm just gonna assume things are working for now. Maybe I'll just pop on the audio. Great time to sound off in chat, which I guess that's a cool shirt. Oh yes, so I have on my pizza shirt, and we're ready to do this. So I, picked up some comics today, actually at the comic book store, curbside pickup, but still. And I picked up a couple things. First up, and I'm not gonna, there's only a few books here, but I just thought I'd review what else I got. I got Man Among Ye #1 and Wind #1, two independent books that both caught my interest, both #1s, so they were just easy to hop onto. The first one's by James Tinian IV, that being Wind, and it seemed to have an interesting premise, which I don't remember now, but when I had the option to order it, oh yes, Raphael, thank you for confirming that you can hear me. Hope your day's going well. Thanks for asking me before we started streaming. I was setting all this up, so I didn't have time to chat too long, but I hope everyone's day is going well. Man Among Ye is an Image book, and it's by Stephanie Phillips, Craig Cermak, Brittany Pezzilio, and Troy Peterey. So bad with names. Anyways, especially live when I can't rehearse that. I don't know one of these names, but this is, new books like this are a fun way to discover creators, and the premise looked interesting. It's a piratey book, piratey things. Last non-death metal book, because I didn't pick up a lot this week. They're still not publishing a lot yet, and, we just gotta go and roll with the punches. I'm pretty sure the publishers are doing their best. But Strange Adventures #2, I lent it to a friend. I have Strange Adventures #1. This is by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. It's another 12-issue series, and right now is shaping up to be just like Mr. Miracle based on the first book, and I was sold. I'm gonna buy all 12 of these. I'm saying that right now. I didn't get a chance to buy any print editions of Vision or Mr. Miracle, but I love those series. I only have them on digital. I want a print copy of one of Tom King's and Mitch Gerads series like that. These guys are telling interesting stories, and I'm all for it. And it's featuring Adam Strange, which is cool. So I read that first issue back before the pandemic. I don't know what I'm in store for the next one, or even what's happening. But all that aside, this is what we're here for. Now, I did a few things, because we could have had images overlaid with this video very easily and stuff like that, but that would mean I'd have to see what's in this book. The only thing I've seen so far is this cover. And unfortunately for you all, there was no way I wouldn't have been able to prevent myself from seeing this cover before this stream. How would I have accomplished that? But let me tell you, when I pulled this thing out of my little shopping bag from the comic book store, my jaw dropped. Whew. Okay, I've held a lot of covers in my life. I've seen a lot of covers in my life. I've seen the 2D version of this cover before. I don't think my camera, it actually is picking up the hologram pretty well. So you guys actually can kind of appreciate how good this thing is. The Trinity is non-holographic and everything else is good. I'm not a huge cover guy. I don't think I've ever splurged for an alternate cover. I've picked up some when they were available for the same price as a regular book, but that's about it. This cover blew my mind. I've never seen a cover this good before, and I'm not an easy sell for the hologram gimmick. This is a hologram done right. Look at this thing. Okay, so we'll open this book in a second, but I've seen nothing. So I wanted this to all just be a fresh reaction. So this isn't going to be a very long stream or a very elaborate stream. It's by far the least technical stream I've ever done. Hang on. Something weird. Okay, that might be a little better for the audio. Something weird was going on with my computer. I did not notice until now. Anyways, so everything from here is going to be a fresh reaction. Now, a couple rules about this. This comic came out today, so there's some copyright rules. We actually really generally don't show anything from a comic until it's been about a week out from its original publication. It's okay to do this for a reaction. I'm even comfortable sharing the odd image and basic story beat, but by and large, I'm just gonna go through this thing and share my honest thoughts. So, Snyder and Capullo are back. Lepion, Placentia are also on the cover here. Oh, I recognize this page. This has been previewed before, so I'm comfortable sharing it. I think it's Sergeant Rock is his name, and he's talking. So I can't read the dialogue out loud or anything, but, I'll keep talking as I go. Oh, and there was someone asking questions I forgot to get around to. Patrick Doherty said, did you get Wonder Woman Dead Earth #3? It was good. I haven't checked out that series. I bought a bunch of Wonder Woman comics and wasn't really sold on Orlando's run on it so far, so transitioning to something like Dead Earth sounds like a good idea to me. And then Raphael saying, wonder if it's going to be a trilogy with Superman leading the next arc of Metal. Well, let me tell you, friend, I don't know what they're going to call it, but they should do that. Alright, so, I'm not going to go through this with a fine-tooth comb or anything. There's some fun setup here with Sergeant Rock. I keep hesitating on the name, but it says Rock right on his helmet. Okay. Fun little setup page. Not a lot to it. Next page, we open up to a map. This is cool. I'll share this. The cool thing is my camera's actually doing a great job picking this up. I wasn't sure how it was going to look, but this isn't actually as low-techy and crummy as I thought. I don't know if you guys can make out all the words on it, though, but on the West Island, we have Arkham Wastelands, and it says Fall of Captain Atom. In the center, we have Castle Bat, which looks like basically a continent-sized Gotham City with what looks like Metropolis on the other side of the continent, and a giant Batman on a skyscraper overlooking the whole thing. And the whole continent is shaped like a Batman mask. My goodness! This is like the little intro page with all of everybody's credits and stuff on here. This thing's kicking off, guys. I'm glad I am sharing this experience with you all, because this is new for us. On the East Continent is something called Mega Apocalypse. A lot of cool techie imagery just overlaid on the continent. And then the center of the continent is the Hellscape with a little offshoot of Themyscira, because, this is all Wonder Woman's show. And then the whole thing is labeled the DCU. And in the corner of the map it says, it begins. And it begins. We move on to another thing I've seen before. It's nice they've shared so many preview images because I'm a lot more comfortable sharing the pages. So we got Wonder Woman doing her axe grindy thing, or like chainsaw, energy chainsaw by the looks of it. Revving it up. Okay, now we're getting into new content that I am not sharing because, DC has a reasonable right to the proprietary of these things. Okay. So that fiery demon creature, I'll share a little bit of it. This guy right here. He's been shown in a bunch of preview images and is identified right here. Not necessarily going to give it away. It makes instant sense the second I read it, but I am not, I didn't think that was him. It makes a lot of sense though. I probably should have seen that coming. Okay. Fun little villain cameo. Lots of interesting implications. Oh yeah, they've shown this page, both these pages off too. We got our Batman dinosaur right out of the gate. I had a feeling. This is already nuts. So many things I didn't think. Okay, like the one character dressed as Batman on this page is not who I thought it was. Like, this is just my honest reaction to that page. I'm gonna have to read this again because I'm going through it pretty quickly so that I can keep it up. Patrick Jody saying Dead Earth #3 as a brutal fight between Big 2. Please review it in the future. Noted, friends. Johnny DC is saying, cool shirt again, by the way. Yeah, for our American audience, this is from a pizza chain called Pizza Pizza that I don't think exists in the US. And I got this shirt for free as part of a work gift last year, actually. And it's a pretty awesome pizza shirt. Out of all the work clothing I got from that particular job, this one's actually the best. And I didn't work at Pizza Pizza, by the way, ever. So that's just a free endorsement from them. I do not recommend their pizza. There are better options and pretty much anywhere in Canada. So I'm just checking out chat. I haven't been reading chat. I wonder if it's going to be in trilogies. Yeah. All right. Okay. Now we get to something I don't usually like. There's an image laid in the background and just a wall of text, which is unfortunate for this particular type of video. Luckily, I can read very quickly. Okay. I thought this would be a little bit of an introduction to what's going on in this story. Because, Johnny DC asked if I'm Canadian. Yeah, both Joey and I are Canadian. I live in Ontario and he lives in BC, so we live on opposite sides of the continent actually, but we both happen to live in Canada even though we kind of met through this channel, which is a fun little fact. A cool coincidence now that I think about it. But maybe not an entire coincidence. Like, I think it's part of why we get along so well and so well together. Yeah, so the whole point of this story is like the Perpetua and the Batman Who Laughs have infected this world with dark multiverse energy. They haven't explained much of that at all, and we're getting into this comic. They have the awesome image that's also been previewed on the other side of this wall of text page with the living Batman City and the Robins. The story... Okay, so that means also, by the way, we've just covered most of the preview images, and here's yet another. Like, we're ticking these boxes off, meaning I have no idea what's happening after this. Raphael's asking, does Wonder Woman have her power amp from the... which I don't think that's what this is. This is, I think, like, just the world's been remade, because now Batman Who Laughs talking to everybody and giving them orders. I have thoughts about Snyder and all of that, but I will leave that to the end when I can focus on it. Okay. So we saw this image of, like, the Batman Who Laughs standing in front of these guys, and it is what I thought. This dude's just in charge of Earth now. Witching hour. Oh, okay. Sorry, I couldn't... discern that from your original thing. He was asking if this... I don't think this is connected to any of that, but we'll find out. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. This is going farther than I thought already. Holy crap. Okay. So something I didn't know is this page sets up stakes in a way I didn't think of, but in a really fun and smart way. That's neat. I don't know if you guys like this or not. This is just an experiment. I just got the sense of this being a little bit of a one-sided experience, and I do apologize for that. We really can't go into detail of what I'm seeing and stuff, but I tried to make it as transparent as possible. This is just my live reaction to the thing. Oh, damn. I'm sorry, guys, but this is a cool-ass book. Between the art... I can't show much of this page because this is all new stuff, but god damn. Okay, there's a big smile on my face. That keeps coming back. Jesus. Yeah, see, now we're getting into new art. So, y'all should get this book. Digital or print, this is worth it, although... I'd recommend digital. And we hit the staple, which means we're about halfway through. Okay. Didn't see that one coming. cool ass scene with the Grim Knight, another alternate version of Batman from the Dark Multiverse. Okay, I just laughed because this is just a blue page that says power chords in the corner. Not going to dwell too much on the second page here because this is new, but we did know Lobo was going to show up. Not a huge entrance for him, but we don't need it at this point. Infamous LSG saying the Batman who laughs was talking to the reader with the whole "you're tired of seeing me" speech. I got a chuckle out of it. I like the, I don't know, there's clever levels of writing to this. Johnny DC is saying Swamp Thing Batman. There's so many Batman. I saw either Elongated Man or Plastic Man Batman. There's Alfred Batman, I think. This comic's nuts. Raphael saying more Lobo, please. Yeah, more proper Lobo too, not the new 52 version that, for reasons you'll find out, I had to sit through recently. I'm all for it. Alright, don't... Chat's distracting me a bit. Oh, okay. Mysterious character revealed. Not who I thought at all, but fits into the map that we talked about. I'll give you guys that hint. Raphael saying Marvel Batman. I haven't seen that yet, but give him a chance to do a big page sprawl. So, which, speaking of big page splash, that's what I'm looking at right now. Okay, I think now they're kind of explaining things a little bit for those, because it's supposed to be like you can just pick up this series and start reading. So far, I don't agree, but you know, now we're catching up a little bit. This comic's amazing for DC fans. I feel a newbie would be like, what? That page where I freaking lost my mind on the Grim Knight is a pretty deep cut in the relative world of comics. This is not for newbies. There's the reference to Doomsday Clock. They said that was coming, and it's not going to be a huge part of the story, but it factors into what's going on here. AC/DC. I'm just going to leave that out of context. What? Holy bejesus. Okay. This is just a rapid fire series. Johnny DC saying Snyder's having too much fun. He kind of is, but I was about to say this is just a rapid series of, like, amazing ideas. He's got to follow through on this. That's all I'm saying. Batman Dino showing up again. He can't be a small part of the story. Interesting. What? Okay. We're on the last pages, and there's an interesting twist here. You notice me backtracking a page just to check something? Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, little epilogue. Oh, okay. It's not Alfred Batman of the final Bruce Wayne. Oh. Okay, so this last page here, which I can't show. Teeny tiny little panel in the corner here. An 16th of the page. Game changing. Oh boy. No comment. Beyond that, obviously. Just game changing. And we end on Sergeant Rock. Nice little bookend for this first book. Oh my god! Okay. I can't imagine what that'll look like on camera. I hope you all enjoyed my live reaction to Dark Knight's Metal, but let's review this thing. Oh my god. So obviously this is going to be a very sporadic review because you are literally seeing no time between me saying my thoughts on this comic and me publishing it to the world. That's almost never the case. I usually like to think about these things and reflect on it, and I really skimmed a lot of this dialogue. Not skimmed, I read, but I didn't go over this thing with a fine tooth comb. I normally would for a review. Well, within reason. Yes, people are commenting on the twist. I like how Chad has kept it relatively spoiler free. They've given away some of the Batman, but a lot of that was given away in the previews and stuff. That's all just icing on the cake for this thing. Okay, so here's the thing. Scott, and I was thinking about this reading this. Scott Snyder's the master of setup. This is the best setup I've ever seen this guy do. Like I said, he's just barraging out these ideas. If even half of these ideas get paid off, I am down. He's talking about doing something concerning what we might normally expect out of a big event like this from DC in just a completely different and hopefully original way. Sounds like it to me. The Perpetua stuff and Batman Who Laughs is interesting, but the way they're framing that with Wonder Woman was not at all how I expected, and that's cool as hell. Just so many cool images. I don't know why I put this in the cover. I'm not done looking at this thing. Greg Capullo has outdone himself. He is a good artist, and he and Snyder have learned to work well together a long time ago. The art is half of what blew me away. And even just the way, I've never seen a reveal like that. That's just this little part of the page where it's like, oh, we're going to change things. We're bringing out something new here. Something you haven't seen before. Batman you haven't seen before. Batman no one's seen before. Kevin Cannon's asking how this new multiverse works. That's a good question. Right now, that's actually explained in this book in a way I don't want to give away. They actually set it up as the stakes, and it gives the whole series a ticking clock in a very cool way. But it's well explained. There's actually a map. I noticed a lot of people have come in since we started. A map right on the second page to give you an idea of what the current Prime DC universe looks like. And there is a multiverse out there. It's involved in this story, though, and I won't give it away beyond that. So it's not just normal right now. Beyond that, it's well said. Johnny DC points out something great that I often forget to bring up, but lettering is really good. Lettering is really good in this comic. Where are they? There's those pages where they just sort of break this story up into little, we'll say chapters or something, like right here. There's lettering right there. Of course, nothing else on this page, but the dialogue is all done really well. A lot of different characters connected in here, and lettering very effectively conveys that. Who did that? Let's name drop him. Tom, Mr. Nice Guy Napolitano. All of these all of the creators behind this book have fancy little nicknames. This is a highly recommended book. I don't know if I said that yet, but I would absolutely recommend this. This is a top tier thing. My goodness, I was not ready for that. And I was ready for a big thing. I was ready for a surprise. I set up a whole little video just to do this. That was something else. Goddamn. We're going to probably, when I can talk more about this plot, we will. And by all means, let me know what this video was to you guys, because we can do more of these. I think DC is very comfortable with this kind of content, day of, potentially, releases. I will most certainly be getting all these books as they come out. I have already ordered issues 2 and 3, and 4, 5, and 6 simply aren't on the site where I pre-order stuff. Comics Hub, I'm sure a lot of you guys use it too. The ha and the Bat Castle page is really good. Oh, thank you for that example. I can bring that up, and that's a good one because I can probably share that page if it's the one I'm thinking of, and that I believe you're referring to. Oh, perfect. We already showed this page. He's referring to the... Oh, come on, camera focus, you can do it. The ha right here. I don't know how well you guys can see it. It hasn't been great at picking out the lettering on this book. But I've been impressed with my my camera picking out all the artwork and even the hologram it got, which shocked me. I didn't expect it. Cannon said, "Where can I pre-order?" This is a good question because I only recently started doing this, and it's how I was able to easily do it, especially in the wake of the pandemic. So I'm going to explain it all to you, at least from how it works for me. And it actually really depends on your local comic book store, so I would contact them. My local comic book store, who I'm straight up going to name drop here, the Dragon, they have 3 locations in 3 different cities called Guelph, Milton, and South Guelph. 2 cities, I guess, but which you guys have never heard of, but they're just outside of Toronto, and they do a great job. So I go on Comic Hub, which is either an app on my phone, which I don't like the app, but it's just a browser thing, and I can pick out whatever I want to pre-order, and then that's how it gets paid and done. So I just go, and it's during the full lockdown in my particular province and area. They were actually delivering it to my house, basically. Hey. Okay, sorry, I just lost my camera footage for a second on stream. Threw me off, and I got worried. And that completely threw me off. So Comics Hub serves many comic book stores in Canada, the United States, yeah, the United States and the United Kingdom. Sorry, that's why I got thrown off for a second. If your comic book store has it, they can very easily set you up with an account and get you all figured out with it. They probably have that all done. Other stores might not do that. Other stores you might have to still call in, which is unfortunate if true. Other stores have different websites and ways of doing things, so you need to kind of gauge that to your store. If you do not live near a comic book store, which is unfortunately true for many people, or it's out of your way, you can order print ones through various sites. I was going to say Amazon, but you can also do it through other stores and web pages, even comic book stores. So go on like Twitter and find one that you like, and you can get them to deliver it for you. It will cost a little more, but not unreasonably so. It's a good time to support comics, so I don't mind kind of walking people through that because I didn't know this until recently. Comics Hub is still a little bit of a difficulty, but if it's one of those more, like, hopefully the way it works with my store is I just email them if there's ever a glitch in the system, or if something, like I've gotten books, including books sitting on the stack right here. Of course it's the one on the bottom. Actually it's not this one. So East to West Volume 2 I got, but then it got stuck on my app for a while. They just canceled it for me. I got this book through them too. You'll notice there's been a lot more print books kind of sitting in the background of a lot of our recent videos. That's why. I've been able to pre-order these things, and I tend to get more of these books because of that, but it's nice because this was reserved. I assume this was a popular choice right now, and it's also unclear for comic book stores how much to order of copies of stuff like this. If you can support your local comic book store, I do recommend it. I will also say, though, print books are expensive, even by someone who, I'm lucky enough to have a disposable income these days, so I can afford to buy these books. One thing I do to help with this, though, because, like, let's say I stop reading a book for a month, you can be behind by a lot of issues in a very short amount of time if it's bi-weekly or even weekly. Digital comics are also really cheap and can kind of supplement that, and I do that a lot. I actually buy both to sort of balance it. That's why instead of, like, our friend Comic Uno, who was on our stream last week, she'll usually pick up a full roster of pretty much everything that comes out in a given week. I could probably justify that if I didn't buy any digital books, but I like to balance it a bit because I have a lot of love for digital in a certain way. I get a lot out of it. There's something very nice about being able to use my phone and having that, because I don't always have a print book on me, but I can pop that open if I'm stuck waiting in line at the grocery store. We got way off track of DC Metal, but I think I pretty much reviewed what I wanted to say. I knew it was going to be a short stream. 30 minutes sounds like a pretty good time overall. Polly Ope says DC does single issue pre-orders. That is cool. I did not know that. Johnny DC says comics for me are overpriced. That depends on how you look at it. Sometimes I agree. This was $4.99 US. I paid $5.25 plus tax Canada. This book, I don't mind paying for. And that, I don't take care of that many books. I can see fingerprints on the cover thanks to my manhandling it and showing it to you guys. I don't care. This book's going to be given away to friends for them to read and eventually return to me. It'll go through many hands before it'll probably end up in the hands of the library or something like that. I use my books. I don't just let them sit in a case. I actually don't usually pay for the case. For some reason, the comic book store was nice enough to throw them in for me. They kind of like me. I spent a lot of money there. I can show off some more stuff later, but Samson2328 is saying, is it worth the buy? I did touch on that a little bit earlier. For metal, I would say absolutely for the print one. It would be okay. If you have to get digital, you can save quite a bit of money digital, especially if you subscribe to Comixology. I did that. I pay $6 a month and I save hundreds in comic purchases, and you get a mountain of free ones too, which is great. But everyone should also understand it's kind of based on your income level and what you're comfortable with spending. I don't have any kids. I don't really want any kids, so it's not a pity party or anything like that. I happen to have a better paying job these days, and I like comics, obviously. So I choose to spend it. What you guys choose to do, and what you're capable of doing, it really depends. Johnny DC just said he lives in France, and you have to pay 10 euros for shipping. My friend, I know enough about euros to know how insane that is. No way would I do that either. That's a shame. Hopefully you are close to a comic book store, but that is expensive, and I could see French comic books being expensive. Even just importing them from the US, so getting the Marvel DC ones. And then France does have a nice cool graphic novel market. Speaking of which, I didn't mention it, but what an interlude. Look at what's on the back cover of the ad of the DC Metal. It's an ad for Snowpiercer, the show, which is based on a French graphic novel. And I just so happened to picked up, this actually wasn't from the comic book store, I had to get this from the bookstore because it's more of a book, but the prequel Part 1 Extinction for Snowpiercer, because this is actually the part of the entire franchise that interests me the most, the fall of the Earth and what happened to it that led to the crazy train. I'm okay with the show. Love the movie. Okay, so we're getting off track again. I'm just gonna do a quick check for any chat I mentioned. Kevin Cannon asks, am I still supporting even though I'm buying online versus buying a hard copy? I'd say yes. I wonder that myself sometimes. Obviously, you're not supporting the local store, but you're supporting the creators who make the series. You're supporting Jeff Bezos, who needs money. So much money. And but most of that money really does, I believe, and I understand, go to the people who created the comics. So it's good. Like I said, everyone should find their own balance. Some people don't like digital at all. Some people are only digital. I actually, based on surveys and research that comic book companies and journalist people have done, I'm rare in that I do both. You don't have to. So, who said that? Kevin Cannon. Yeah, you should feel fine with doing that. It's absolutely valid. Kevin Cannon saying, do what you love, man. Been watching you for years. Please review all of Dark Knight's Metal. Yeah, for those watching this in the future, let me know if you want it like this, or we can delay it for a week. I thought of this idea, and honestly, I had a good time doing it. It was kind of fun. I hope it wasn't too, just me reading a book and having a flat reaction. I mean, that is what I said the video would be. But. Unuseful Unboxing says, I ordered Death Metal 1 A and B variants from Comics Elite. Very cool. And yeah, that's another way you can get comics. And that's part of the issue too. Johnny DC mentioned the shipping's really expensive in France. It's expensive in certain parts of Canada for sure. I happen to be fortunate in that I live close enough to Toronto that I'm basically part of that hub of technology and network that exists in basically all of Canada, just along the southern border of the US and nowhere else. And the US is like that too. There's vast swaths of the country where these things aren't available. So do your best, but also this is kind of why we do recaps and stuff, to help people who can't get into it and can't get these comics all the time keep up on it. So don't worry, like, we're not just going to start being a reaction channel. This felt like a special occasion. This cover, I feel, is what kind of inspired me to do this. I wanted to share the experience of reading it with you guys, and to be honest, I thought it was a good experience. And there's a good number of likes on my little counter there, so I'm guessing you guys liked it too. Tevye Smoka, who's like a huge supporter of our channel, and I really appreciate all he does, is popping in here saying I love death metal. I loved this book. My only stipulation is, like, Snyder's really got to nail this ending. Sorry. Snyder's got to do like a good ending. He's just so notorious for setting up these awesome books. So many of his stories, issues 1 to 3, are amazing, and then it just kind of stalls out a little bit and then just ends rapidly. He can't do that here. That could change my opinion of this thing so much, because if we're setting all this awesome stuff up and we're not paying it off, then come on, guys. Although I will tell you, this has got me a lot more motivated to check out some of those tie-ins too. Muhammad Islam saying, Wakanda forever, Avengers assemble. Yeah, sure, when they put out something like this, I'll throw that energy. Muhammad Islam also says, Black Lives Matter. Yes, Black Lives do matter. Unuseful Unboxing also said his comic book shop just opened back up. I'm going tomorrow. Yeah, like, ours is kind of open. You can't go in, but you can go knock on the door and then get your books, which is something. It was nice to be able to do even that. Only getting the delivery was not as fun. I miss being able to, go through the back issues and stuff like that. My comic book store had to pull all that stuff from their website because they couldn't keep track of what they had. Because imagine being a store and having, like, just all these random little issues of stuff and trying to inventory that in real time online. You just can't do it. So they're just doing their best, and I've supported them as much as I could. And I really mean that. I didn't want to say it because I was kind of feel like I've just been wasting time the last 10 minutes or so, but whatever, we're hanging out. I also bought all of these. I don't want to get into why I bought all the Batman Nightfall books. That's for a project that had to be postponed for coronavirus. To be concluded. But, I did actually do a poll about it once, so for those who know, there is something with Nightfall coming. But, yeah. Oh, gosh. Chat keeps pulling me into these other questions, so here we go. Okay, so first of all, Kevin Cannon says, he has a great opening, though. Especially in death metal. Snyder really did nail that opening in a way that he hasn't before. But he just needs to do, like, okay on the ending. As long as it's not, like, lame, then the series can be awesome. That's all I'm saying. Muhammad Islam said, who has seen the new Spider-Man PS5 trailer? I have, and I loved it. Honestly, it's one of the frustrating aspect of that is, like, it just was like, oh, well, I guess I'm buying a PS5 this year. Like, that's the conclusion I took from that. And by the way, it pisses me off a little. I have a PS4 and whatever. I paid for it late in the game, so I understand that, but it really feels to me like Sony is literally holding Miles Morales hostage, and I have to buy a PS5 to play his game. But oh well, I'm excited for it. I was shocked by that decision, just in the sense that I knew Miles was going to be a part of the sequel game. I didn't know he was going to be the game. I've heard, there's online hubbub. That's fun, guys. We've had so many Miles Morales stories, and it's kind of interesting that Spider-Man PS4 is now just kind of a PS4 game. That's kind of his game. I don't think they're killing off Peter Parker or anything like that, and maybe you get to play as him in the side missions or something, or maybe you just get to play as both, or maybe Peter does kind of get pushed along or something. I don't know. We'll see. Raphael saying, I'm getting X series, so I didn't say I wasn't either. I need to buy a capture card, but eventually I do want to stream with some of these video games that are console only. So that's in the works. Tevye Smoko is saying, do you think death metal will retcon Benedict's nonsense? Nope. Bendis is an active writer and Snyder is too much of a pro to be stepping on those toes. Sorry, unless Bendis is on board with those changes and reverting certain things like Superboy, which is what I assume you want. Like, not to be dismissive, Tevye, I'm just saying that. Don't get your hopes up with that, because, yeah, that ain't happening. I think that 5G stuff isn't happening. With Didio leaving and Snyder kind of getting a little bit more creative control, including with this series, I think Snyder has more of a say what the DC universe is going to look like. I wasn't against 5G. I thought it was a neat idea, but I don't think it's happening, so maybe we shouldn't dwell on it too much. Kevin Cannon saying, but who really dies in comics anymore? Sorry, okay. Kevin Cannon says, do you feel like Batman Who Laughs is the main villain like Darkseid or Lex Luthor is? I feel like there is no way to kill him off at this point. Even if you do, he comes back, but who really dies in comics anymore? I don't know. I'd rather Batman Who Laughs be like just part of the thing, part of the series, part of the Rogues Gallery is the word I'm looking for. Why get rid of him? I think the boring thing to me would be to do what they did with the Dark Knights in Death Metal the First. Metal the First, not Death Metal, where the Dark Knights just were all these cool characters that kind of got killed off. Don't kill off these cool new villains. They're interesting. They should stick around. Especially Batman Who Laughs. Now, he shouldn't be overused, and someone else was talking about how they even make an in-joke about him being everywhere. I would say after Death Metal, we need a good long break before anyone thinks of bringing this guy back, or if he does come back, it's like, he can go fight Nightwing now or something. Not to downplay Nightwing, it's just anyone but Batman. We need to push that away and give ourselves a break, or else that won't work well, and he won't be a permanent fixture, because everyone will get sick of him. You can't do that. You guys have so many interesting questions and are just extending this thing, but that's okay. Excited for DC Fandom announcement. What's your expectation? I think it's interesting. I think it's smart to... I didn't get it at first until I remembered, there's no comic book conventions happening. And then I think I really appreciated it. And I seriously considered today making a submission. Or something. I saw something about doing that, and I was like, interesting. I might put something together. I have a lot of scripts lying around that are kind of for that purpose. I wouldn't really consider myself an aspirational writer. I actually like my day job a lot outside of this YouTube stuff, and it is what it is. But I do like writing, so I do think about doing these things from time to time, and only sometimes ever get around to them. Polylops is saying, I feel like the main decision regarding Powerhouse right now are Jeff Johns and Scott Snyder. Yes. Seems to be that way. I don't think they have final say, because that always is going to be the executives, but I think they have creative control more or less, as long as they aren't rocking the boat in any specific way or pissing off the higher-ups. They seem to be in charge now. And honestly, I don't hate Dan Didio, but it's for the best. Right? We can all agree on that. I don't love Jeff Johns either. Perpetua got flagged in chat. I guess people think it's a swear. Yeah, I think it's mostly on them, and Jim Lee seems to have a lot of say, which is great. He's a good guy to have doing that. I believe I should qualify statements. Been a lot of other interesting news no one's asked me about in the chat yet that I am just going to tiptoe right around because I don't want to talk. Well, I'll talk about it if you guys correctly identify it, but I don't want to talk about it otherwise. Tevi Smoka, how do you feel Bendis' new villain Sizemar? Because for me personally, I'm so tired of awful Bendis villains like Leviathan. Haven't seen Sizemar. Have read the most recent Action Comics comic issue, or whatever you want to call it, by Bendis. I believe it's 1022. Hated it so much that I was like, I'm not reading a Bendis comic for a while. I'm sick of it. He brought back Superboy in theory from New Earth era too, and in theory I should be excited by that, and I felt nothing. I am so sick of Bendis, and especially his writing in DC. I was done the second I read that book. Uh, and Tevye Spoke is right there with me because he does not like Bendis almost as much as I don't with his Superman stuff. You know, I was looking back at other Superman comics from Jurgen's era, like Jurgen's Rebirth era, and even New 52, and Bendis is doing such a bad job. You guys should go, if you haven't seen my review of that Action Comics number 775, which is based off a quote DC put out on their Twitter account a while ago. Well, just they were quoting that comic, and I thought I'd review it. Like, talk about writing Superman properly. So going from something like that and then seeing Bendis's most recent slop was. So what I haven't seen, or maybe I have seen Sizemore and I'm not remembering it, but whatever it is, it's garbage. I'm so convinced of that now. Tevye was saying, do you think Bendis will lead Legion of Superheroes? I don't know. I read the first issue of that, and it's already a big Bendis-y mess, and I haven't read it since. I've read the first 2 or 3 issues, because I did give it a chance, but it's no good. Bendis is not doing a good job at DC, and they just keep giving him books. They can't do it anymore. He's so bad at this. He was better at Marvel, I swear. He was bad, but not that consistently bad. Raphael, do you think we'll get any info on the being above Perpetua? I want to know who they... Oh, those beings. They talk about him a lot in the stuff leading up to Year of the Villain. I'm not totally caught up on Year of the Villain, by the way. I kind of checked out through some of that and sort of hopped back on for Death Metal. They don't often do stuff like that. Maybe someone other than Snyder might get into it. That would be my guess. I have zero expectations of Snyder getting into that stuff unless it's just some big ending thing where they show up at the end or something, which wouldn't be terrible. I don't want to automatically discount that as like a bad ending. I'm assuming Snyder's going to have. I am praying he doesn't. He has pulled off good endings before. I've seen it at least once or twice. He can do it. I'm gunning for that guy so hard. Scott, I know you watch our videos sometimes for some reason. I just want a nice ending that pays off that fantastic book I just read. I love your work so much, but some of your endings, you're a better writer than me. I'm not gonna glass houses or whatever, but I don't know what happens. I think it feels rushed every time. Court of the Owls, Endgame, that one where Jim Gordon was dressed up in a bunny suit. All of Snyder's endings feel so rushed sometimes, and everything else is so damn good. But you know what? I will say this. This book has so many cool ideas in it. Even if the payoff doesn't end up being that great. Metal didn't have the best ending in the world. Who cares? Because we're introducing all these cool ideas that we can pay off or, use later if they don't fully get used right now. All of that stuff can show up again, which is cool. God, I'm losing track of chat. There's so much stuff. Tevye Smoke is saying, I agree, Dan Jurgen's Action Comics Rebirth was fantastic. I liked his Superman run too. Polly Lopes says, what Bendis books do you like? LOL. Ultimate Spider-Man. Almost every Miles Morales book he wrote I liked in spite of some flaws here and there, and serious flaws here and there nonetheless. There's more. I'm sure there's more. It's hard to you're putting me on the spot, and I thought of the big 2 that I like from him. New Avengers Breakout, right up through its ending. He did a great job with that. Jessica Jones. A lot of his earlier work, like with Daredevil, is really good. Powers. There is some good Bendis comics out there. I just haven't seen one since he moved to DC. And that ain't good. Leviathan got close, I guess. Like Event Leviathan, the series. But close. Not good. Interesting question here. Oh, Tevye Smoke is saying Year of the Villain wasn't really worth it. I mean, it led to this, so I don't know if I agree with that. Tevye Smoke is saying Tomasi's Superman Rebirth is fantastic, and I miss the Superman family so much. Hey, while we're talking about Superman, if you guys want a good Superman writer, and he's ongoing right now, Superman Man of Tomorrow, which is like a digital first series, but will come out in print by Vendetti. Vendetti can write Superman like nobody's business. And I'm not the biggest fan of that dude's writing, but oh man, he should be that's a guy who should be in charge of all of Superman. Just based on what I've read out of his Man of Tomorrow comics, god damn. Why is Bendis in charge of this when they have Vendetti lying around. Where are we? I'm losing track of things. Kevin Cannon, do you think Darkseid will pop up in either Year of the Villain or Death Metal? I hope so. I think it's a good question. I think Year of the Villain's pretty much done now, right? And we're going into Death Metal. I would expect Darkseid to show up at some point, even if he might have cameoed there and I've spaced out because of so much content at once. Infamous LS. You should just have a small role though. There's enough going on. Maybe just set something up with Darkseid later or whatever, or just do something cool with him. And give him a cool role like the Spectre in Crisis of Infinite Earths. Sorry to bring that up. Got that on my mind a lot these days. Infamous is saying, man, Bendis is a walking crisis. He needs to work on indie stories. He does a pretty good job with more indie and grounded stories. Maybe just give him indie and grounded stories. Hey, I thought of a good Bendis comic I liked from his time at DC. I really liked the first Naomi book. I haven't read anything else with her since. I thought he did a good job introducing a new character with her. He kind of just pulled it off like Miles Morales again, and I would be happy to see more stuff with Naomi in it after that first run. It was fun. Okay, Raphael says, it's been nice with all the new DC I think you mean mythology building. That's what you're trying to say. Them fleshing it out more. Yes, Snyder's been doing great with that, and that's what I really like. Adding all these things, opening up the multiverse again, implying there's more worlds in the 52, and introducing like a whole dark multiverse of worlds. That's world building like nobody's business. That's almost getting to like Jack Kirby level world building. That's something. Tevio saying, how would you... Okay, we don't need to talk too much about Bendis and Superman. How would I retcon Bendis? I wouldn't retcon it. There's no going back. I'd just bite the bullet and deal with it. At least a character aged, you know? Pratik Tahodi says, I think Tom Taylor could write a good Superman book. You saw his recent tweet. He nailed Superman character. I did see that tweet. I don't remember exactly what it said. I don't really think it's worth looking up right now, but I agree. Tom Taylor's had a lot of great moments with Superman, even with this crazy evil version of Superman that he made in Injustice. He did a great job with Superman, and DC Unkillables, what are they called? Deceased. Deceased Superman had a good part. Not Unkillables. I don't think Superman's around for Unkillables. But I like it too. Tom Taylor's a great writer, and they should use him more. Also, you know, we've learned a lot of creators behind comics are unfortunately not good people. We've learned that, like, yesterday. I was dancing around this earlier, but I found a way to bring it up. Tom Taylor's a good example of someone who's very consistently a stand-up guy. I would be horrified and so saddened to learn if Tom Taylor was not like that. Because he seems like he's very much on the level, unlike others. Why am I defending it, by the way? We're talking about Cameron Stewart and Warren Ellis, by the way. Don't buy their books no more. They don't deserve your money. Polylope said, and if you want to learn more about that, Google's your friend. Polylope said, did you see the new tie-ins that were announced for September? I did not. I will have to look that up. Kevin Cannon saying, I'm still freaking about Wonder Woman having that new weapon in Death Metal. Yeah. Ending really sets that up nicely. Tevye Spolka was saying a new question, and in my opinion, on Tom Taylor deceased, hope at World's End. You love the series, and you recently, it was Wally West. It was fantastic. Yeah, you know, I wasn't sold so much on the first deceased book for whatever reason. Now that he's established that world, and we're getting into like the Unkillables and At World's End, I'm digging it. Tevye Spolka says, what did Warren Ellis do? That's, you guys are gonna have to Google that. I'm not getting into that now. He did what Eddie Berzonga and that guy who wrote Border Town or something, Esquivel did, you know, what they all do. Why else would Warren Ellis be no longer welcome in the comic book community? He's a groomer. Deceased is so good. Yes, like no, like I'm really digging this series. I don't know why, but the original book I read it and I was like, this struck me as like just another Marvel Zombies kind of book. But now that that world's been established, like I was saying, and like we're following up on it, Tom Taylor's doing a cool job following up on it in a way that Marvel Zombies never did. Tevye Smoke is saying the Batgirl writer who wrote Burnside. Yeah, I am staying away from that writer. Yeah, Cameron Stewart definitely gave away more red flags than Warren Ellis about his abusive behavior. I all I can say, like, I'm just gonna own up to the fact I didn't really catch on to it. I it's probably not a coincidence. That's exactly when I stopped reading that Batgirl series. Was when Cameron Stewart took over. Like, and I never really liked him, but I'm not gonna shield it and say that I knew he was abusive or anything like that. That sucks. Even for a writer I didn't particularly care about, and that can kind of be true of Warren Ellis too, but we don't need to get into that. Johnny DC was saying, "What do you think Golden Lantern is all about?" I don't know. Sorry, I don't mean to say that dismissively. I was just like, I don't know. Um, I don't know where DC's going now, and that's kind of interesting. It's better than when it was kind of so implied this was going in the direction of 5G. It's a mystery, and there's there's some good mysteries here. There are a lot of questions that are brought up, and interesting directions this thing could go in that could really change things in a fun way. I don't know if we're due for a full reboot or anything like that, but change would be interesting. We could benefit from like an Infinite Crisis style change, you know, where it's just like, oh god, things are different now, but like the canon, I think the canon can stay the same. Like we don't need to get into new stuff. We don't need to do that for like another 10 years, if that. But I think it's good DC tradition to do it once in a while. But we're a long way away from that while, I believe. Oh, Tevi was saying the Golden Lantern things from Bendis Legion. I thought I was right. Sorry, I got that mixed up with something else from Grant Morrison stuff, and that's why I was giving it more reverence. Well, I wouldn't know because I stopped reading Legion, and I don't really care about Bendis. Raphael was saying we need more naked superheroes. Oh, we don't need to get into Batman Wang, but I'm actually pro Batman Wang. I think people were really prudish in their reaction or whatever, and then whatever, they should do stuff. I'm all for Black Label. I literally bought a Black Label comic today. um, and Wonder Comics. I think doing stuff like that's a neat idea. Uh, this is we're gonna have to change the title a little bit to be in an impromptu Q&A. Infamous is saying Deceased hit me more emotionally than Marvel Zombies. I came away from Deceased going, damn, not this character. That's fair. It was better made than Marvel Zombies, I'll give you that. Praddock saying rumors there's Snyder's plan is to going to Marvel after Death Metal. You do you really want this to happen? Do you want him to stay at DC? I hadn't heard that rumor. Here's the issue. It's hard not to be like, oh, I think that would be interesting on the tails of just talking about how awful that transition was for Bendis. It doesn't usually go that way for most writers. Most writers bounce between the two successfully. There are a lot of Marvel characters that would be interesting in Scott Snyder's hands. Could you imagine if they let that guy into the X-Men office right now, with the way the X-Men are right now, and let Snyder have some fun with that? He could ruin things, but if he didn't, it would be awesome. But there's other characters too, like all the Midnight Suns. Oh, friggin'. I want him to write Moon Knight's too obvious because of Batman, but there's some cool characters that he could do it with. Tevye was saying, speaking of Wally West, do you think Death Metal will have Wally West Flash finally return as the Flash? Because nothing would make me happier than seeing that. I don't know if you've read Death Metal yet, Tevye. I would say there's a hint to the affirmative of your question. The only thing that I would say to the contrary is Wally's off in his own weird little series by Scott Lobdell, of all people, that I have not checked out and I've been avoiding for fear of what I might see. Raphael is saying, saw Batman down, dong, now I gotta see the Trinity. Why not, right? People would be all up in arms with Wonder Woman, but I don't I wouldn't be. As long as it's done with like whatever, it's got to be played equally. And the other thing is like even in that Batman comic, it's like ooh we're dark and edgy. Like there's you got to do that maturely. I think naked superheroes are fine, whatever. America's so hung up about nudity and stuff. You wouldn't believe the amount of content we can get away with in terms of violence and profanity on YouTube these days and can be fully monetized versus nudity is insane. Now, back in the day, we would show there's just comics out there with plenty of nudity, and we would just censor them a little bit. We can't do that anymore. I don't even know what I'd do. I think I'd have to be a little more creative with that nowadays because apparently you can't even show censor nudity on YouTube anymore, which is take it up with Alphabet, I guess, or Google. But yeah. Okay, that was a whole extra half hour of Q&A fun, which I didn't mind doing. That was fun. I didn't anticipate it, but I'm loving all the reactions. I know I missed some chats in there. It was going by really quick. I apologize. I did try and do that as much as possible. I did miss people saying really nice things about the channel and me, so thank you. I sorry I missed that. I was trying to answer questions as best I could, and those weren't questions, so I really appreciate the nice words, though. I did catch them. Tevia saying, oh, also that Flash Forward series. Oh, yes, that's the name of the series that Scott Liddell's working on. Had Wally West become the new Dr. Manhattan, which ended the series. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh. Well, that really could change a lot of things in death metal. That's all I'm gonna say about that. No, you can't. Wally West can't be that. We can't keep that. It was already messy enough when he was on the Metron chair. No, I don't know why they got rid of Wally West like that. But that's the kind of thing that reeks of like Didio to me. Although I suspect Tom King was a big part of that too because of that awful Heroes in Crisis story. Let's all. Can we just take a minute? Like, I keep pulling this up, but gotta look at this thing. How much more quality and craftsmanship is in this book over Heroes in Crisis? It's the same kind of opening where they start with the cold open, but this takes you into this new world, fantasy and excitement. There's a lot of death in theory to this. There's a lot of death if you read this comic carefully and read what it's saying. But it's not miserable. They don't make a spectacle out of it. They don't make light of mental health issues. Like, oh my god, everything about this is just so much better than Heroes in Crisis, is my point. No one brought that up in chat, but I stumbled on that storyline when we were talking about Wally West, and Tevia's okay. I don't want to give away that. I didn't know that myself. Until you told me, Tevia, which is fine. That actually provides some interesting context to like one of the last things we see. But let's leave that be. Who in the Trinity will you get the most attention next issue, do you think? Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman is going to be the focus of this series, and that's cool. Even like this cover kind of sets that up nicely where she's just right at the top. Batman's everywhere because of course he is, because he's the villain of this story. Superman, we haven't seen much of him yet. Should be interesting. But yeah. Tevia's saying, yeah, Heroes Crisis had Didio written all over it. Death Metal's 10 times better. 10 times is a lot less than infinitely times better. But yeah. Yeah, Tevia's saying Wonder Woman's the main character for Death Metal is what he thinks. They've basically confirmed that across the various promotional material going into this story, which I think is great. The first issue very much sets her up as that, and it's dope. Like, it's just so good. I am all on board with this thing. Okay, I think we're good there. Thank you all so much for joining and making this a fun experience. Maybe we can make this a more regular thing on Wednesday. I've always danced around it. It's a lot more possible now for like 10 different reasons. So I'm going to put that in my back pocket and we'll leave that for tomorrow. Or for next week, I should say. Remember, it doesn't have to be a live reading either. Maybe next time I read these ahead of time and give you my review. I don't think Death Metal 2 is next week, but always something on the horizon. I don't remember what I ordered, but And it's always a mystery these days. I order stuff that's supposed to come out like weeks ago and I still haven't gotten it yet. And that kind of has to do with why DC's no longer with Diamond, actually. Bye, Raphael. Thanks for joining me start to finish. That was fun. Tevia, thanks for being so active in chat. Mr. Doty, sorry for mispronouncing your name over and over again, presumably. Dang, Tevia is telling us all sorts of interesting things in chat that, you know, it's there if you guys want to read it. I'll leave it unspoiled because we've kept most spoilers out of this review, and I kind of like it that way. Because, you know, this book came out today. I do want people to have a chance to, you know, read it. But yeah, see you guys on the horizon whatever I end up getting done next. I don't know, another Spectre video maybe? We'll see. Till next time.